Hey guys, welcome back to this week's video. Today we're actually going to go through a bicep workout. Now of course you can pair this with triceps and do a full arm workout, or you can pair it with something else, some other muscle group. But today's workout, purely biceps. Alright guys, so as I mentioned, purely a bicep workout today. And if you're the kind of person, you're having a challenge, really trying to grow your biceps, this is the workout you're really going to want to try to do because of a few key things. Number one, we're going to choose exercises that allow you to get maximum output out of your biceps, so maximum tension generation, maximum power. Second thing, we are going to train the biceps at each point along the strength curve, so the shortened range, the lengthened range, and the full range, of course. And finally, to get a really full upper arm bicep area, you want to not only train the biceps, both heads, but you also want to train the brachialis muscle, which is right below the biceps, and we're going to do that as well. 4 exercises, that's it. All right, another thing we're going to do in the workout is, yes, we're generating tension. We're going to break down that muscle tissue. We're going to stress it as it's contracting. That's going to, trigger that muscle growth. The other thing that we're going to be doing, apart from, again, training the different positions along the strength curve, is we're going to stress the muscle with metabolic damage. What is that? So we're going to go to the higher end of the hypertrophy range. So we're going to go anywhere from 8 all the way up to 12 reps for each exercise, for each set. And that's going to accumulate, basically metabolic waste as your muscles are contracting. That's a giant stimulus for growth. All right, so the first exercise we're going to do is for max output out of your bicep. You're going to stabilize your arm using the preacher bench right here, unilateral dumbbell curls. So you want to get set up here, get as much of your upper arm on the pad as you can. Start the negative or the eccentric. You really want to control this. Spend time on the eccentric or the negative. That's where you have the maximum potential for muscle growth. From here, pause, contract that bicep, push back into that pad, come on up, supinate at the top as hard as you can. That's really shortening your bicep as much as it can get. And then come on down again, remaining in control. From here, contract, come on up. You want the concentric or the positive portion, the curling portion of the movement to be shorter, probably half as long as the eccentric movement. Take at least 2 seconds on the way down, come on up. Stay in control of that shoulder. You really don't want that moving around. Again, push back into that pad as much as you can. All right, so next up, we're just going to do a seated bicep curl. Again, we want to support ourselves externally. That's going to give us a little bit more out of our biceps because we're not going to be using as much energy to stabilize our core or our lower body. So for here, you can do it one of 2 ways, just going supinated all the way through or going from a neutral to a supinated grip, up to you. Know, of course, that this is the way that you're going to get most of your bicep. Training this way and then coming into supination, that's going to be both brachialis, brachioradialis, as well as your bicep. So up to you, but today I'm just going to do completely supinated, really target my bicep. So first things first, push back into the bench, depress those shoulder blades, flatten them out, bring those elbows slightly forward of my torso, come on up, squeeze, back down again, nice and slow on the negative, get as much out of that negative as you can, come on down. Notice, one thing that's not happening is I'm not bringing my elbows forward as I go. Trying to keep them nice and still, facing the floor. Again, we're going to 12. We're really working on building up that lactic acid, creating that metabolic damage, building the muscle. Alright guys, so next up, this is going to be the hard part of the workout. We're going to do a superset. I promised we would train both the lengthened and the shortened range of the muscle. That's what we're going to do now. Starting off, we're going to do an incline dumbbell curl. What that's going to do, it's going to overload the lengthened position of the bicep. You'll see it when we get on the bench, the angle that my arms are at. Secondly, we're going to spin around, superset with some spider curls again, dumbbells. We're going to change the angle of the bench. That's going to train the shortened position of the bicep. All right, let's go. All right, so for the incline curl, a couple of key things. As usual, you want to pull your shoulder blades together. So retract them, you want to depress them, keep them pushed towards your hips, flatten them out, lean fully back. Get your elbows facing the floor. From this position, you really don't want your shoulders or your elbows to move at all. From here, all the action is happening right at your elbow as you contract the biceps, bring the dumbbells up, squeeze, supinate hard as you can, nice and slow on the eccentric, Don't go to a full extension to your elbow. Come on back up. And by the way, guys, you can also just alternate arms, so one at a time. That way, you get a little bit more tension out of each bicep. All right, now we're gonna superset with spider curls. So I'm gonna adjust that a little bit further down. Right there is good. Get those dumbbells. Again, elbows facing the floor, palms facing forward. Try to keep your shoulders completely stable, elbows pointing to the floor, and curl. All right, guys, last exercise. So this one, the goal of this one is to target both the brachialis, which is below your bicep, brachioradialis in your forearm, and to also keep the tension relatively constant throughout the range of motion. So we're gonna use a cable, we're gonna do a hammer curl. All right, so from this position, again, you wanna pull those shoulder blades back, keep them depressed. You might wanna get a staggered stance to feel nice and stable. Get those elbows slightly ahead of your torso. From there, contract the biceps, come on up. Neutral grip the whole way through. Again, you wanna make sure you're keeping your shoulders nice and still, elbows nice and still. All right, guys, that is it. Bicep workout. This video is a wrap. As usual, if you found the information beneficial, give it a thumbs up. Be sure, of course, to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're gonna get notifications for each week's video. Now, when you're training biceps or when you're training any body part, just remember, any muscle group, your goal is to, number one, do as much work as you can. Number two, try to train the muscle in lengthened, shortened, and then the full range of motion. That's what we did here today. Make sure that's what you do on your next bicep workout. Until the next video, guys, aloha from Kauai.